all the unique characters,
I do let him bang. Yeah, I'm a legend, man. I'm building my legacy.
all the stories and perspectives featured weekly.
I wasn't fully committed to that choke, and I kind of sunk into it, started squeezing tighter, and I kind of heard him gurgle a little bit. I was like, oh.
And all the combat sports you could ask for in the best state in the U.S.
Like I said, Ohio versus the world. It's going to happen for sure. Watch out.
It'll be cool, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to show them why the Ohio MMA scene is, in my opinion, one of the best MMA scenes in the country.
This is Forged in OH.
IO.
OH.
I-O.
OH.
I-O.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 94 of Forged in Ohio. My name is Jake Murren, and I'm the host of the podcast. Every now and then in MMA, you'll see something that simply makes your jaw drop. And I don't mean that figuratively. When I saw the 6-second clip of this man's last fight, my eyes widened and I was totally stunned. I did say it was 6 seconds. That's not how long the clip was. That's how long the fight itself lasted. Perhaps the shortest fight in Ohio Combat League history. His name, Brody Big Dawg Rutledge. Thanks for coming on the show, Brody, and welcome to Forged in Ohio, man.
Thanks for having me, Jake. Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on the show. We have to start with that win at OCL 31 and the 6-second clip that went viral in Ohio MMA. Is that the result that you expected? Maybe not with how fast it came, but being able to knock out your opponent.
It was execution of a game plan. We've been working that combination for up to 3 weeks out from the fight. I watched his first fight, and it was only, I think, 2 months before this one. And it wasn't very long on the feet either. And we seen that he came out. Both combinations started with a straight right. And so all camp I was working slip the right, left hook. And I knew it was going to land. It was just a matter of when I could find it.
Yeah, and it just so happened to be 6 seconds within the very first round of the fight. Was that something that you had planned on throwing because it more suited your style, or maybe it was more effective against him, or maybe a little bit of both that created that game plan?
I think it was a little bit of both. I like striking, and my left hook is there, so I wanted to find a way to land the left hook, and slipping the right was a great entry to it. So.
What was your reaction when you saw him fall the way he did and realized that you had finished the fight that quickly?
You see me walk off. I was it looked nonchalant. I don't know. It was surprising, but I had worked so hard going into this camp. And like I said, I knew that I was going to find that punch at some point within the fight. I did not expect it to be that quick. And honestly, I was kind of in shock a little bit. Like the fight happened so quick that it was a lot. I didn't really process it until after, but it felt great.
Yeah. Did it take a while to come off the adrenaline that I know you go into the cage with, and then you're only in there for 6 seconds? Did it take a while afterward for that to kind of wear off and go away?
Yeah, it definitely did. It for sure did. I remember talking to my brother after, and that was kind of when I was settling down. I'm like, wow, I really did that. First combination, I didn't take one punch, so it's always good when you get in a fight and you don't get hit. So
yeah, for sure thing, man. Did you already have that confidence going into this fight that you possess that one punch power and precision that it takes to do what you did to put someone's lights out like that?
No, that is the first time that I've ever knocked somebody out, and I wouldn't say that I have known that I've had power like that. That honestly was surprising to me. I have been boxing for 8 years now. I started boxing when I was 15 years old, so I am confident in my striking as far as creating angles and setting things up. But to see him fall like that was definitely surprising.
How about now? Is that confidence even more that you do have that one punch power?
Yeah. I can tell in the gym I'm able to set my shots up and kind of wait and, do more picking them and, instead of just more output,
Sure. I saw somewhere that it is the fastest KO in Ohio Combat League history. How cool is that to set a record for a promotion like that?
It's really cool, especially I've been training with Trayvon for 3 years now, and I never would have thought that I would get a knockout quicker than him. So it's cool that, we've come up together. And I remember going into my first fight, Trayvon hadn't had a fight yet, but we had been training together for a while then. And just to be talking to him now and how far we both came in just 3 years is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. And Trayvon is known for having really short fights. He has so many fights, but his cage time is so low. Do you brag a little bit with that 6-second knockout with him now?
No, not much, man. It's Trayvon's a dog, man. He's got it. So I'm just blessed to be able to train with guys like that, and build relationships like that in this sport.
I asked about your reaction to landing the left hook inside the cage, but what about after? What was it like watching it back on video for the first time and seeing what became a viral moment for you?
I don't know, man. It feels really good just knowing how much I was working at it. And if you would have seen me like leading up to that week of the fight, I started adding in the body feint, and then when I slip, I was throwing the right too, and that is exactly how it went. Like it went exactly how the game plan was. So it's just really good to see. You put all the time in, man, and like it's a lot of 4 a.m.s. It's a lot of I'm working late, and I don't want to work out tonight in the gym, but I have to get it anyways, and we stay late and get the extra work in. But it all pays off, and it feels good.
Did people around you eat it up too? Friends and family, I'm sure, flooding your phone, congratulating you on the win?
Oh yeah. That's the first time that I've competed in the octagon, and I think it's been over 2 years. So a lot of people have seen the amount of work that I've put in from what I looked like in my first fight 2 years ago to how I've progressed now. It's yeah.
I know your opponent Josh Kranitz took issue on social media after the fight about touching gloves to start the first round. What's your response and take on that?
I've talked to Josh since the fight, and I respect him. And there was comments after the fight that I don't know if he meant or I'm not really sure. As far as the touching the gloves, when we came out, I did see that he was the one to touch the gloves, and there was a brief touch there. But I'll be honest with you, I was so locked into my game plan and working the feints. You can see on several videos where I do give him, I acknowledge the touch, and then it's not like I cheap shot him. It wasn't like fake, but he throws the right hand, and I was just focused on the game plan. And also, I watched his first fight, and he didn't touch gloves in that fight, and I didn't expect him to, but it really wasn't on my mind at all, to be honest. I was worried about the fight. That's what we were there to do, and yeah.
Yeah, and I hope Josh is doing well, after a brutal knockout like that. But when it comes to touching gloves before a fight, are you someone who usually doesn't do that, or what goes into touching gloves or not?
I've touched gloves before in bouts as far as boxing and MMA, and I don't think that I don't know. There's not really much behind it to me. I wasn't thinking about it. I mean, I feel like I did. It wasn't like my first priority. So getting back into like the cage for me was really flipping a switch. I know I have that technique down, but as far as aggression, I need to make sure that I'm there and I'm pushing the pace. So my mindset going into this fight was strictly aggression, come forward and get to it. I was not thinking about touching gloves. I was in the zone. So that's where I was at with that. Maybe in the future I will make sure that I touch the gloves. But we're there to fight, and that's what I'm here to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that's where you're at your best, when you are fighting with aggression and maybe fighting angry in the cage as opposed to calm, which helps other fighters?
No, I don't. So I like to stay calm, and with training with Matt, you've done interviews with Matt before, and you've seen his fights. We are completely the opposite. So I'm like technical, and I like to pick my shots and come forward. and or not come forward, but I like to cut angles and pick my shots more so. He likes to come forward and it's output. But I've found that, his style is bad for me, and I need to work on that part of my game some, and he needs to work on what I'm good at some. You know what I mean? So that's why we make a good pair, and working together. I like to pick up the pace a little bit and kind of get that feel for stuff kind of like he does. So it helps me in not getting laid back and calm as far as like with feints and stuff, and not as much output. Coming forward and being aggressive is definitely part of the game, and you got to have that switch to know when to do that and know when not to.
Yeah, it sounds like you and Bad Matt Adams work off each other's strengths really well. What has he meant to you in your career so far?
Man, going back 3-4 years ago, I met Matt at a gym here in Zanesville, Southtown, and we started training together. The first day we met in the back of that gym, it's like a lifting gym, but we put the gloves on and sparred, and we started going up to VO2 together because I had a fight coming up. And it just became a thing where we were riding together every day up to the gym. And we had talked about we both wanted to have a gym in the future. So when we got this opportunity to kind of start our own thing, and it's just a blessing, and I'm really excited for the opportunity. We don't really profit off the gym. We are just solely in there because we love doing this. Matt and coming up with him has been great, and I'm super blessed to have him as a training partner.
Yeah, man, let's talk about Raw MMA in New Lexington, Ohio, along with Matt Adams. You're the co-owner. Can you talk about how that all started and the process of launching the new gym?
Yeah, so Matt's got some connections with some old wrestling coaches, and they've got like a wrestling gym down there in New Lexington. It's back behind this torn down factory. It's just an old building with mats all in it, man. And like first time we're pulling up to the gym, I call Matt. I'm like, man, are you sure this thing's back here? We get back there, and he opens up the garage door, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty sweet. So we got the opportunity to start running some classes out of there, and I have been for the last 5 years in an electrical apprenticeship. And for that, I have been going to class Mondays and Wednesdays in the afternoon after work. And that's part of my big layoff, was because I don't have the time to put into the gym as far as sparring and training and stuff like that. I just finished that apprenticeship in June, and we got this opportunity. So I've been able to train in the afternoons. So we've been doing classes Mondays and Wednesday afternoons. Getting a group of guys in there and working on wrestling and striking and just pushing each other and trying to build a good bond between the guys wanting to come in and just grind.
Yeah, man, I talked to Matt Adams about it too when he was most recently on Forge in Ohio. But for you, how much have you enjoyed being the co-owner of the gym with him? And are you involved in coaching fighters like he does?
Yeah, I am involved in coaching, and with the striking side of things, like I said, I've been boxing for 8 years. So as far as the technique goes with the striking, I have that to be able to show these guys, because a lot of the guys that are in there are just getting started, which is fine. We're still all pushing hard, and there are guys with fights and stuff in there as well. But Matt takes care of the grappling and the wrestling, and I take care of the striking. And for me, coaching is a lot of fun, because there's stuff with Matt that I work too. And like with the matchups that he's getting, these are elite guys, and we're able to watch good bits of film on them and try to find tendencies and openings and stuff that they're doing. And, that side of the game is really intriguing to me, developing a game plan and trying to execute it.
When you're that involved, how much does that make you better when you're constantly in the gym helping others? I'm sure that also benefits you in your progression.
Oh my gosh, it does a lot. And like specifically right now, the guy that Matt's getting ready to fight in October is an elite level kickboxer. He was a Glory world champion. And so I'm watching a lot of film on this guy, and these are elite level kickboxing matches, and we're finding, things that they do well in defenses, and things that they do to defend this stuff, and it helps us in training to be able to go and try to utilize this stuff in our game plan. And also emulating these kickboxers and sparring, like trying to emulate these guys in sparring helps me in developing my skill set as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. It also, like, it sounds like you're just becoming more of a sharper mixed martial artist, like the fight IQ and knowing other styles. And how much, like, film are you watching daily trying to get these guys ready for their fights, and then picking up on tendencies that, hey, maybe you might want to use in a future bout yourself,
Exactly. Like when you're trying these things in sparring, you're like, man, that actually kind of works. I see why he does that.
Yeah, talking with Brody, Big Dawg Rutledge on Forged in Ohio. An interesting aspect of your win at OCL 31 was that it was your first MMA fight since winning your debut by submission in 2021. You kind of already hinted to it, but why was there like a 3-year gap between MMA fights for you?
Yeah, the gap was solely for my apprenticeship. I'm an electrician, and I started doing this right outside of high school, and I did do my first fight while I was in the apprenticeship, and I realized that it's if you're going to devote yourself to getting into the cage, or if you're going to get into the cage, you need to be devoting yourself to that. It needs to have your full attention, and you need to be able to be training every day, if not twice a day some days. So that just wasn't something that I could do at that time. And with a son, I have, priorities and things that I have to take into consideration and do first. And finishing the apprenticeship was one of those things that I had to complete before I could go on to doing this. So finishing that apprenticeship in June, there was no wait. We got right into the gym, and we've been working up until August 24th, and we're going to continue to work from here on out.
What helped you learn that lesson of knowing that if you wanted to give MMA a try, you really had to go all into MMA? Because I could see somebody in your shoes back in 2021 picking up a submission win, being like, yeah, man, this was great, let's keep on going. But you were smart enough to realize that, hey, let's wait and then go all in later.
Injury, man. I was lacking in the health department. I needed to get stronger, and a part of that was just taking 2 years of, I'm in the gym every day at 4 or 5 a.m. before work, just putting it in, trying to get my knees stronger, trying to get my shoulders stronger, strengthening the core, strengthening the hips, like all the fine details. This game is a sprint, and if you're not in shape, you're going to get hurt. And I found that out, and we're fixing that and coming back stronger.
What comes to mind, I guess, when you think about that amateur MMA debut at Ohio Combat League 12, where you won with a rear naked choke in the second round?
I had only been training for maybe 2 or 3 months then. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And, I'll be honest with you, that night before, they had 2 cards that weekend. So they fought Friday night and they fought Saturday night. And I was fighting 205. I was 19 years old, pudgy, not really in great shape. And I mean, my boxing was okay, but my wrestling was nowhere near where it should have been. And I remember watching one of the fights on Friday, and it was at 205, and he was a wrestler, and he was fucking shredded. And I was like, man, if I got to get in the cage with that guy, I'm screwed. I got to definitely take care of my health and get stronger and, shred some weight if I want to take this seriously and even be able to compete locally. So I've had a lot of growth from 19 to 24 or 23. And part of that has just been, in the gym working it and being able to realize there's levels, and you got to be in shape for this game. You got to be strong for this game. Those are, tech behind that and technique. Those are 2 of the biggest parts. You got to be in shape and strong.
Yeah, I love how mature that line of thinking is too, because you were 19 years old at the time making your amateur debut, yet you learned so much from that experience to help you with where you're at now. Would you recognize that older version of yourself, the one that fought over 3 years ago for the first time?
No, not at all. No, I wouldn't, man. And getting to this 185 where I'm at now, like I'm looking at myself and I'm like, man, I have not been 185 pounds since I was like 13 years old. But every day it's making the right decisions at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then waking up at 4 a.m. and making it to the gym before work. And once you get consistent in that and you're in a groove, it's hard to miss. Like, you feel better when you're going to the gym and when you are eating right than when you're eating like shit and missing the gym. Like, I have bad days when I don't get up at 4 a.m. and get to the gym before work.
Yeah, how is 185 for you? Is that the weight class you see yourself in moving forward?
Yeah, Matt wants me to stay at 185. I look at myself, and it might be a little body dysmorphia, but I think I still got the fat to lose to get down to 170 eventually. I think I'll be at 185 for maybe the next fight or two, but if I cut down to 170, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
You kind of mentioned it already, but can you speak to your growth from when you first started in combat sports to where you are now, present day?
Yeah, so with now working with Matt on the mats, and I'm getting so much more experience in wrestling. I wrestled from the time I was in third grade until just about my sophomore year was my last year wrestling. But I'm not unfamiliar with positions and stuff. I just wasn't a great wrestler. But working with Matt and focusing on the fine details that are important in wrestling has improved my game so much in just the last 4 months. And continuing to work with him, I'm learning more and more. And that is, I think, the most important part of improving for me right now. I have a striking coach that I work with on the side as well in Zanesville. His name's Todd Whiteman. We get into the POW. I'm really appreciative for him as well. He had a lot to do with the game plan, slipping the right and throwing the left hook for this fight in preparation, and really pushing me in the gym on the bag and on the mitts. So I'm thankful for him as well. But working all aspects of it, he's able to get me with some submission grappling guys as well that are working with me on the ground. So just trying to grow and learn from people that know more than me at all aspects.
Aaron Bush, who I've had on Forge in Ohio before, called you a sponge of knowledge on social media after the OCL 31 win. Is that accurate with how much you've learned since you started?
Oh yeah, I'm always in when I'm in the room with somebody that knows more than me, I say that I try to be a sponge. I try to soak up all the knowledge that I can. And with Aaron, he's a great teacher. He's been in our gym quite a few times and going through different workout drills and chains. I can't learn enough from him, man. He's great to be working with. And it's small details that I would honestly never think. And it's like stuff that like I want to call, and my brother's my best friend, but I want to call and tell my brother, like, dude, I just learned this at training tonight. It's such the smallest thing, but it makes this big of a difference. Like, it's crazy. All the knowledge that Aaron has and is able to pass down. So working with him, we were actually working the drop. We were working jab to the body to right, the left hook too. So we were working the same combination that week as well. He is a great teacher, and I try to be a great student when I'm in the room with him.
How crucial is that to be a sponge and to be coachable in any sport, really, but in this case in MMA, where there's a lot on the line, especially your own well-being?
Oh, it is so important, and I have a lot of respect for my dad for teaching me that at a young age. I remember when I was 5-6 years old, my dad just implementing to be coachable to me in sports, baseball specifically. I grew up playing baseball damn near all year round, and that was one of the things. He was be coachable at the very least. Constructive criticism, just be coachable. And in a game like this where you can be getting hurt, it is very important to be able to take in information and try to apply it to whatever you're doing, and at least work it.
Yeah, I feel like being coachable is one part of the equation that you have going so well for you. The other part is the inner circle that you've surrounded yourself with. We've talked about them: Bad Matt Adams, Trayvon Eller, Aaron Bush. How important is that to where you're at now? Just being able to surround yourself with guys that I'm sure are there to make you better as well as themselves, but just everyone working off each other.
Oh yeah, man. You keep hanging out with the gorillas, you might turn into one. I've been working with these guys for a long time, and they push each other in the gym. There's no light rounds. You know, you're going hard and you're working and you're learning. Everything is balls to the walls, and that's what I love about it. You know, and if you're working with these guys, like, you know, you can go into a fight, and I'm thinking, well, I know this guy's not going to hit me harder than Matt is, so I'm good there. You know, or I know, yeah, it's great to have a community of guys that are pushing you to do better.
How hard does Matt Adams hit, by the way?
Man, you got to feel it. Like, you can watch it and you really truly do not know. He has that equalizer power, and his hands are getting better. Like, he's starting to cut angles. He's keeping his hands up. He's throwing straighter punches. He's not looping. Like, he's going to be dangerous, man. I think that this glory world world kickboxing champ is in for a fight for sure. That power is just unmatched, man. Since the first time we were in the gym, like, hits you and you're just like, what the fuck? They called Teddy Bear, the coach at VO2, used to say he had lunch boxes for hands.
I love it, man. Once again, this is Brody Big Dog Rutledge on Forged in Ohio. I feel like there's still some more to learn about you. You're still so young at 23 years old after debuting in MMA at 19. We know that you started wrestling at a young age and then boxing as a teenager, but when did MMA come into your life?
I would say MMA didn't start until right after high school, and that's when I wanted to get into fighting. And I really don't even remember what started it, but just the boxing background and the wrestling background. I knew that I really love the adrenaline rush of stuff, to be honest. I'm an adrenaline junkie, and kind of being a little scared of, you know, getting in the cage and fighting in front of everybody kind of intrigues me on just doing it, because I was a little scared of it. I remember going to an MMA event with my girlfriend, and this was like 2017. And as I'm watching this event, I'm like, wow, I want to be in there one day. And I didn't get into it right after that, but it was maybe a year or two later I started training MMA at VO2, and since then I've just been addicted. Like, rolling, as far as jiu-jitsu and sparring, it just feels like you get into a flow state and you're just lost for a little bit. You know, a good sparring round and a good rolling round have the same serotonin dump for me, and you just feel free, man. Like, scrambling and rolling, it's the best feeling.
Did you ever foresee where you are now? I know you've had 2 MMA fights, but it seems like combat sports and MMA have opened up so many avenues for you in life.
Oh yeah, they definitely have, and I've also built so many relationships. So going into my first MMA fight, I was worried about doing it, and I didn't know if I wanted to, but I'm grateful that I did, because of the relationships that I've built and the people that I've been around and the habits that I've developed through that. Like, I'm not the same person that I was when I was graduating high school. I've developed habits, and you know, I've grown so much just through this sport and the discipline that it takes to be in it.
So you're now 2-0 as an amateur mixed martial artist. Are we going to have to wait another 3 years to see you fight again, or are we getting you back in there sooner rather than later?
No, I'm hoping to get on this November 9th card in Cherry Valley Lodge for Ohio Combat League, close to home. And a lot of the guys I work with were hyped to see that 6-second knockout, and they want to show up to the next one. So we'll try to put on another show for them.
All right, there you go, man. With where you're at now and how far you've already come, how good of a mixed martial artist do you think you can be?
I think the sky's the limit if I keep pushing myself and keep surrounding myself with the guys that I am. Stay a sponge in rooms with people that know more than you, and you'll continue to learn. And that's the main part of this game is you never stop learning. Try to surround yourself with people that know more than you, and just keep being a sponge.
I like to ask fighters about their goals on the show, so I'll do the same with you before getting you out of here. What are you trying to achieve in this sport?
That's a good question. Matt asked me the same thing a lot. I want to coach. Is my end goal is I want to have my own gym in maybe 5-10 years, and where we have a group of guys that are pro fighters, and we're all pushing ourselves and working hard, and we're almost there. Like, we got the group of guys, we got the gym, we got the grit, we got the hard work. We just got to keep doing it. So I'm where I want to be right now.
Yeah, do you think with where you're at now with Raw MMA that's a good launching pad to get you to accomplishing that goal of owning your own gym and having that team of really good fighters?
Oh yeah, I think so, for sure. We're in the right room. We got the right guys. We just got to keep learning and keep working.
All right, man, I love to hear it. Before we wrap up, just anything you want to shout out here at the back end of the show, social media handles, things going on at the gym, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, you guys can give me a follow. My Instagram is Brody Rutledge, and I just want to say shout out to Bad Matt, shout out to Todd Whiteman, all the guys that I work with, RJ Harris, Aaron Bush. Without them guys, it wouldn't be possible. We're putting in long hours. I know, we all got jobs and families and stuff. So having everyone there and pushing each other so we can all chase our goals is awesome, man. And I really appreciate it from everybody.
There you have it. Thanks again, Brody, for coming on the show. It was great talking to you about your latest knockout along with your career. I know you told me that you enjoy the show, so if you have listened to previous episodes, I like to end these chats with the OHIO chants. So if you can help me out here, OH.
Yo, brother. Hell yeah, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Brody. Thanks again for the time. Enjoy the hardware that's eventually going to come with that knockout at OCL 31. And it's an understatement that I say I can't wait to see you back in there, potentially in November for OCL.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
That was Brody Big Dawg Rutledge, the 2-0 amateur mixed martial artist. It's rare that I have a fighter join me on the show with only 2 fights, but Brody has some other experience in combat sports, obviously. And when you do something as impressive as what he did at Ohio Combat League 31, I don't care how many fights you have. That was his arrival onto the Ohio MMA scene, and without a doubt, I think it's going to win Amateur Knockout of the Year. If you agree or disagree, let me know what you think on social media at Forged in Ohio on both Instagram and Facebook. Follow those 2 pages for show clips and announcements. If you're listening to the show, I ask that you download the episode, as that helps me out. Or if you're watching on YouTube instead, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel to never miss an episode, and leave the video a good thumbs up for me as well. Thank you all for watching or tuning in. I've been your host, Jake Murren, and this was Forged in Ohio.